Green Bay Packers podcast hosted by Flurry Sports. I'm Zach Bruner. Luke Reimer is with me. And, Packers season is still continuing. There's things happening in Green Bay, trade deadline coming up. And for the first time in a long time, Packers are for sure not buyers. Obviously, we were always considered buyers. We never did. Mm-hmm. But now the question is, do the Packers sell at the trade deadline, or do we continue just, sitting on our hands and not answering phone calls?
Let me ask you, do you think teams are even calling about anybody on the Packers?
I wonder. Like, the one name that seems obvious and it seems like the Packers should be trading him is Rashawn Gary.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, no one values Rashawn Gary higher than the Packers community, obviously, because, his value is overinflated. But I don't know. Usually, the contenders are willing to call about edge rushers. You can never have too many edge rushers. You can debate whether Rashawn Gary is a great edge rusher or not, but he's at least solid. Mm-hmm. And you would think, like, the Bills maybe go for somebody. You would think.
It feels like Preston Smith could get moved.
Maybe. He's not on a contract year, right? So the Packers would have to eat something.
Right. Which I don't think would be a horrible thing.
I don't think so either. I just don't think the Packers would do it.
Right.
Packers should be making moves. There's no reason to do nothing. Like, you can certainly prepare yourself better for the future. If you trade away Rashawn Gary, you get draft picks, so you can get better. On top of that, you open up snaps for Lucas Van Ness, for Enagbare, for people like that, so you can develop these younger talents, get them more experience. So truly no downside, unless your plan is to extend Rashawn Gary, which also doesn't really make that much sense. Because you extend him, his prime is the next 2-3 years. Packers don't have a championship window, and then you just paid a bunch of money for nothing. Like, it truly doesn't make any sense to keep him around. But
that's that's
going to happen.
That's like a mid-2000s Milwaukee Bucks move.
To keep him around, just keep the good players while we can't compete.
Keep an above-average guy around and just with no championship window and just be the 9 seed for the whole decade.
Yeah, it does feel that way. And that's kind of what the Packers have built over the past 10 years too. It's just Aaron Rodgers has lifted the team above expectations and covered up all of the poor decisions. And now we don't really have that. But yeah, I guess suppose we can talk about last week. The Packers played the Broncos, and it was one of those lose-lose type of games. You beat the Broncos, nobody cares because the Broncos sucks, but you lose to the Broncos and people are starting to panic a little bit. Mm-hmm. Luke, you notably fucking cannot stand the Broncos and think the Broncos are terrible. So Packers lose to the Broncos. What's your thoughts? I think last week you might have said you're numb. Maybe that was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Were you numb after that?
Yeah. Well, no. Honestly, like I've been trying to be really positive on the show because the team is very bad, and I've been trying to look for things that are good. The team lost to the Broncos, who I still think are a bottom, 7 team in the NFL now. I guess probably the Packers are. It's hard to say that the Packers are better than the Broncos right now. So maybe the Packers are below that. But this team got 70 put up on them not even a month ago, and you come in there and it's another first half where they didn't score a goddamn point. It's crazy how we keep nobody's really talking about that. They're not scoring points in the first half. That everyone's still it's not really Jordan Love's fault, which maybe it isn't because there's a ton of other shit going on. But I'll tell you right now, Jordan Love is doing nothing to help the team. The receivers are doing nothing to help the team. When Jordan Love makes good throws, Romeo Doubs stops running his route. Christian Watson can't break a tackle. The only one who's really doing something right now is A.J. Dillon, which, give her, whatever that means, he's looked a lot better than what we've seen out of him from past years. I will say that, mm-hmm. Joe Barry is still somehow being called for his number, which I guess, sure. But once again, the defense, they're not giving up 20 points. And maybe it's the product of bad teams, but whatever. So I don't know. Like this is just a shit ass team. I said it a couple weeks back. Like other than maybe 3 players on the team, every player on this team is backups on any other team, and it just really. I mean, we've been talking about it for how many years now? It's just really odd way to build a football team with going absolutely nowhere. But I guess the silver lining here is, right, we're number 7 pick right now, and Hard Knocks. So I mean, trade off here or there. But like I said to you before, like that game was worse than a Brett Hundley game to me, and I didn't know it could get any more worse than Brett Hundley at home. So like, there's just no drive in this team. No, it doesn't feel like leaders are doing anything. And I think that all comes down to probably, probably the coaching staff, probably the front office. Who the fuck knows? If they're not doing anything, players aren't doing anything. But the players aren't doing anything, the coaching staff's not doing anything. It's just really tough to watch the Packers right now and be, hopeful for them.
Yeah, there isn't much to be hopeful about. I guess I will start with saying, and to your point, AJ Dillon, hey, looked pretty good last game.
Mm-hmm.
Credit where credit is due. I unfortunately believe this is probably going to mean he gets re-signed, which I think is a fucking horrendous move to do. However, whatever. He's been playing pretty good. Do I want to have 2 running backs on the same team on their second contracts? That's insane to think about, but whatever. That wouldn't be the worst move the Packers make in the offseason, I can imagine. But yeah, are the leaders doing their job? I don't know who the leaders on this team are.
Right.
We've talked about that before. Like there just aren't any. I suppose Devondre Campbell's kind of a leader. Obviously he didn't play. Jair is not a leader, but I feel like people are looking towards him to try to be one. He didn't play. Matt LaFleur is certainly not a leader of men whatsoever. Jordan Love isn't as well. Aaron Jones isn't. Like running backs can't be asked to lead people. So like there really isn't anybody to lead. Talked about it in the preseason training camp, first couple of weeks of the year as well. I wanted to see, and I said the Packers season didn't start until the Packers lose a game because I didn't know what Jordan Love is until he loses, and we'll see how he bounces back. And I guess maybe I should have included Matt LaFleur because, like, what's Matt LaFleur going to do when we lose and you have to make adjustments and try to, turn the team around? And clearly it's watch the tape and then go back out there and do the same thing. Like right. You can keep saying, and I know you're frustrated with it at press conference. Oh, we got to watch tape. We got to watch tape. We got to watch tape. You can watch as much fucking film as you want, but you got to actually put something into action as well. And the fact that we've scored 6 first half points over the past 4 games or something like that.
Yeah,
clearly something needs to change and nothing's changing.
The season as a whole, the Packers are losing the first half 76-28.
Not good.
No.
It's not just that. Shout out Stu for making it. Like that is a small window into what the entire Packers year is so far. Like, yes, we're getting behind the chain, so to speak, in points in the first half. So we're having to dig ourselves out of the fucking hole in the second half. Same thing happens on every single drive. Mm-hmm. We start every single first down, second down, moving backwards or getting no yards. And then we're in 3rd and long. It's like, okay, let's get this group of terrible wide receivers and an inexperienced quarterback behind a poor offensive line and see if we can convert 3rd and long. It's not going to happen very often. So, right. I mean, it's insane. And I don't expect change coming. And I'm talking change in terms of game plan. I'm talking change in terms of staff moves. I'm talking change in terms of front office. But change needs to happen somewhere. And it feels as though with this team, you have to get worse before you can get better. And we're not trying to take that concept. We're trying to just get better, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Like, to your point there, change of staff. Like, I'm totally with it. Fire LaFleur, fire Gutekunst, fire Barry, fire everyone. That's cool. But I think they're kind of in a spot right now where it's like, this is Jordan Love's real first year as a starter. You have to let him have a year. So it doesn't feel like there's going to be change. If another year, it's going to come, same team coming into next year. If that goes to shit again, then it feels like the change is going to happen when the draft comes to Green Bay. But I don't think we're going to see change for about another year and a half here in Green Bay. And I don't think there's much to be excited for. Like teams like this, at some point you're like, all right, we can build off of this. There's absolutely nothing that they can build off of right now.
No. and we are in a 2-year plan, and it's not because we get to officially hit the reset button in 2 years, but what's going to happen is, and we see it from the Packers community, and the Packers are going to feed into what, you know, Packers community are saying, which is incorrect. But we're going to go through this year. We're going to suck. We're going to fire Joe Barry. Joe Barry is going to be the scapegoat. And to your point earlier, has Joe Barry done anything to be fireable really this year? I don't think he deserves his job.
Right.
However, he is for sure not the issue right now.
Correct.
Not the biggest issue. So he's going to be made the scapegoat. We're going to go back, in the 2024 season, we're going to continue to suck. And then it feels like new head coach, Jordan Love experiment done. Packers draft their new franchise quarterback at Lambeau in Green Bay for the NFL draft. That's what it feels like what's going to happen.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean anything. Like, you draft the quarterback, what's the team around him? And we're not making moves at the current moment to prepare for a championship window, which we can have with a rookie quarterback, with a rookie contract quarterback. But when we keep kicking the can down the road on David Bakhtiari, on people like that, and we're just not using any of that money now to front load anything or make moves to get draft picks or anything like that, we're just trying to tread water until another savior like Aaron Rodgers comes and lifts the entire team up, and doesn't feel like that's going to happen.
Right. To add flame to the fire, with to add gas to the fire, I should say, with trying to get up draft picks. I mean, it doesn't look like that Jets second round draft pick is going to be great for us.
No, it's not going to be a great one. But hey, Packers love second round draft picks. We didn't want it to be a first rounder anyway. Who cares? Right. Can't use first round draft picks. But so Packers have a first. They'll have 2 seconds. If they traded Rashawn Gary, and I don't think it's going to happen, but they could probably get at least a fourth out of that, fourth or fifth, which is useful. Like, I don't know. Like, we have to prepare. We got to do something. And even if you wanted Rashawn Gary on the team, then fucking extend him now. Right. Just extend him and front load that contract, because we opened up a bunch of salary cap by kicking money down the road to make our salary cap situation worse in a couple of years, which is something teams looking to compete right now do. But we're not competing. We're not using the money. We're just sitting on it because the Packers want to invest in real estate, because the Packers want to invest in these new hotels that need to go up, because for some reason we got the NFL draft for stuff like that. Like, we don't have an owner who can just write a check. So we have this board managing the financials, and these same financials also need to go other places as well. And like, we're trying to make $1 and we're trying to keep our jobs next year. That's what everybody in that front office on the board is thinking. And it's going to be tough to win football games that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's tough.
I'm with it.
I don't get it. But yeah, so I guess we can talk about that Broncos game a little bit more. Oh yeah, you have a comparison, right?
Yeah. Before I go to that, I've talked a lot of shit about the Chicago Bears on this show for the 4 years we've been doing this. I've said that they look like a high school offense. They can't throw the ball. This is what the Packers are right now. The Packers don't throw the ball to the middle of the field. They throw it side to side, and the receivers just aren't good enough. I don't know Jordan Love. I don't know what's going on. The blocking's not good enough. That's not working. Let Jordan Love throw passes over the middle of the field. If it gets picked off, what the fuck ever. At least you're trying something that you haven't done all fucking year, which is crazy to me that we're not throwing 5-yard drag routes over the middle of the field, 5-yard hitch routes, 5-yard curl routes, just anything to get the ball moving other than A.J. Dillon straight up the middle of the field. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that, for all the Green Bay listeners, like, the Notre Dame high school is a better offense right now than the Green Bay Packers. So that's very frustrating to watch. Also, I can see, I understand people being mad about Jordan Love's pass on 3rd and 20 to end the game, second straight game that we've lost on a game losing interception, I guess you could say. I don't hate taking that shot there, except you can't miss go routes short and in the middle of the field. That ball's got to be on the corner of the end zone. So, and that's a quarterback issue. That's not a play calling issue. And I think that I don't know how people are still saying, like, Jordan Love can be Aaron Rodgers. That's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, there's no shot. There's no shot. Like, I think he can improve. I think he can be
Yeah.
solid in some things. I think mentally he's starting to figure it out a little bit. He just isn't talented. Like, he just doesn't have the arm talent. And that's something like you can look at some of these raw players. I mean, fucking look at Sam Howell. Sam Howell has a shit ton of arm talent. Is he a top tier quarterback? No, because he doesn't have the mental game figured out yet. So when Rodgers started, we knew Rodgers could throw it all over the field, but he kept hanging on to the balls and taking sacks and not throwing it the fucking away and shit like that. Once he figured the mental part out, then he was an all-time great, or is an all-time great. So like shit like that. And
You're right, Yoli.
Yeah, he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not in the same stratosphere. But again, it would be ignorant to put all of the blame on him because it's very clearly not. Some people will be angry about your comment about Notre Dame high school being a better offense. And I just want to defend that point. It's not saying like, oh, let's put the offenses up against each other. Who's better? Obviously, Packers have NFL talent. Just schematic, like scheme wise. The Packers scheme it's that of someone who's never coached football before. And I understand when Jordan Love got to run his offense last, it was with the Titans. I think he was the 30th ranked offense. He wasn't good. We're seeing a little bit of that now. The receivers, you talked about Romeo Doubs not running his route. That's happening all the time. There's still miscommunications. We had multiple times in the first half of the last game, receivers ran the same exact route. So they're holding hands on, in the fucking boundary. Again, middle of the field's wide open, not that there's a player there. It's just nobody's even utilizing the middle of the field. And we have two players running the same exact route. The best teams, the best offenses use every square inch of the field. You talked about the Chiefs. They know spacing. They know how to use every inch of the field and force defenses to cover every inch of the field. When you play the Packers, you don't even need to have anybody in the middle. It doesn't matter. That's why it's like Luke Musgrave should have been the seam killer. Just have him run in the middle of the field up the seam, hit him for fucking 20 yards a pop every single time until they defend it. He goes down, doesn't mean we don't have someone do that.
Right.
Like, it's insane. It feels like, one, people don't know where to line up. Two, people don't know the playbook yet, which is inexcusable at this point. We're, middle of the year after a bye week, coming out of the bye with absolutely no juice, no nothing. And we give up on the run still too. Mm-hmm. This is a game where AJ Dillon looked good. Okay, let's feed him. Like, we don't need to just get away from that. Let's feed him in unpredictable ways. We don't need to do 1st and 10, run up the middle, now it's 2nd and 9, and then we're panicking. And we run another stupid ass screen to the left with Wicks throwing the football. And again, Wicks, fine throw, got a first down. Should have been a bit bigger play if he threw it a little bit better. Why is he throwing from the left boundary to the right boundary? And again, nobody was in the middle of the field. Like, we could have had Jordan Love stand in the middle of the field for a screen. Mm-hmm. It's just concept-wise. It's scheme stuff. And that falls on the person who's drawing up the plays and calling the plays. That's not Jordan Love. Not saying Jordan Love's playing well, but that's not anybody but LaFleur. Receivers don't know what to do. That falls on Vrabel, someone I've been hard on, obviously. The receiver, this isn't just a talentless group of receivers. It's a poorly coached group of receivers. And Luke, do you know what they really could use right now?
Davante Adams.
Any veteran wide receiver who has played before. Like, we have no leader in that room. We have nothing. We could have used Sammy Watkins.
Great to have Randall Cobb.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. Al Lazard? Sure. Yeah. He's at least somewhat of a veteran.
Even Robert Tonyan.
Yeah. Something. There's no leadership. There's no history of success. There's no showing these young guys how to do it the right way. So when they're left to their own devices, they're running half-ass routes because they know they're not getting the ball on a play or something like that. It's just insane. Mm-hmm. It's insane. Like, no one's playing the same game out there. That's what it is. No. And again, are we pointing the finger at Jordan Love? We can. He's certainly to blame. But everything goes back to Matt LaFleur right now. Or Brian Gutekunst.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the team is not there to win. The group of players isn't worthy to win. The person making the decisions, coaching, clearly can't do it. And I hope there's nobody, a month from now saying, man, this Packer season could have been different if not for X, Y, and Z injury. That's the only thing I'm hoping doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If we use injuries as a scapegoat this year, it's going to be insane.
Yep.
And you know what, Stoof? May as well bring in Antonio Brown.
I would bring him in last year. That would have been great.
Fine. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, he'll be open.
Yeah. And I just want to make this point. I think I made it on the last couple shows, but I just want everyone to realize everyone was bitching about Aaron Rodgers making the audible calls last year, 2 years ago, and that was fucking up the offense. Are we still thinking that?
Yeah. Nagler, are you saying, oh, now we're going to see Matt LaFleur's offense? I don't know. It seems like we saw it the last couple of years. Are we sure?
Yeah.
Are we sure? I don't know. There's also times in the Broncos game, we have corners lining like 2 yards inside the outside receivers with no one on the outside. And that's a situation where it's like Rodgers just looks at Devontae as like, okay, just run a quick out. We'll take 5 yards every play. That's fine. Because guess what? Then it's 2nd and 5 and not 2nd and 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem like either Jordan Love isn't confident enough in the playbook to make those decisions, or he's not given the freedom to make those decisions. Either way, it's an issue.
I would guess it's not the freedom, because those decisions you make in, like, if you're a good high school team, you make those decisions.
For sure.
For
sure. Yeah. It comes back to, just having confidence within the playbook, within the scheme. And like I said, it doesn't look like anyone's confident in the playbook or the scheme. No one knows what they're doing.
No, I think it just goes back to the point. Like, just stop holding Jordan Love's hands. Let him play football.
Yeah. If you think he's a guy of the future, then let him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not, then we're going to find out pretty quickly. But if we keep holding his hand, we don't know anything and we're losing.
Right.
So I don't know.
The comparison that I wanted to make, I thought about it in the shower today after working out. This and maybe this, I don't know, it's kind of a fun comparison for all my hip hop fans out there. This kind of feels like when NWA broke up, right? Devontae Adams being Ice Cube, Aaron Rodgers being Dr. Dre, and then those two leaving, just a horrible, shitty fucking group. You still have Aaron Jones and Bakhtiari here, kind of like MC Ren and DJ Yella, and then you have just, I don't know, like Mark Murphy is just Jerry Heller fucking everything up again.
Yeah, that's a name that no one's talking about for being on the hot seat or being the blame for anything. Yeah. How is Mark Murphy evading everything right now?
He does it great. He's been doing it his whole career.
Like he takes the credit as the de facto owner person, essentially, in the meetings, but then he's never to blame. I don't get it.
Right.
I don't know. Good for him. Anything else to say about last week's game before we just look at the upcoming matchup with the Vikings?
No, I don't think so. Like, I thought that the Bills losing to the Patriots was going to be the worst loss of the week, and then the Packers lost to the Broncos.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not great. And the Vikings beat the 49ers, also not great. Weird week of football again. We're going into week 8 and still a lot of bad football being played.
Yep.
Which, not great. This week, Packers initially opened, I believe, last week as 1.5 favorites against the Vikings. After the Vikings win, Packers lose. Packers are 1.5 point underdogs at Lambeau this week. It's a 42.5 point projected total. So pretty low scoring. Vikings expected to get the close win. Looking at injury report, for those who don't know, Packers put 2 DBs on IR. Eric Stokes, who just came back on IR again. And then we have Savage. We talked about how Savage always leaves games injured and whatnot. Stoof, that's pretty good. You're doing good scatting there. But Savage also went on IR. So when Savage goes on IR, that means the starting safeties then are going to be Rudy Ford still. He's been playing all right. Jonathan Owens, veteran from the Texans who came over, most notably Simone Biles' husband. He's going to be the other safety starting. And then the backups now are Anthony Johnson Jr., the versatile rookie, and Levitt is going to be the backup for Owens. Certainly, I like Owens as a run stopper. Owens can certainly get beat by like a Jordan Addison bomb this week.
Certainly.
Something like that. That's something a little
I
scary.
feel like he can match up a little bit with TJ Hawkinson this week.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And looking at the injury report, except for those, aside from the two players put on IR, looking at the Vikings, Hawkinson didn't practice today. He has a foot injury. Asamoah does too. I think it's mostly precautionary.
He came back. He got hurt and came back in the Monday night game.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, if Hawkinson's less than 100%, though, I mean, thank God. That would be very nice. But in terms of Packers stuff, Aaron Jones, Luke Musgrave, Josh Myers all did not practice today. Jones and Myers, I feel as though, is relatively precautionary. Luke Musgrave, I think, has a real possibility to miss again.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Limited is Devontae Wyatt, Josh Nijman or Nyman, whatever. Elton Jenkins limited. Devondre Campbell limited, practicing a little bit. And Jair is practicing. He's limited. Christian Watson, notably, is a full participant. Apparently, he's fine after looking like he got shot on the field. I don't know. But all signs point to Jair and Devondre being back this week, which I think is huge.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think it's huge, too, that both Christian Watson and Devontae Wyatt practice, because that felt like both of those guys are going to be out a while, just watching those injuries live.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what it is. But, I mean, the fact that Christian Watson's a full participant, and he hasn't logged very many full participant practices this year.
No, like his career, the last 2 years.
Yeah, true. And after, I thought there's a chance he misses this week, and no, he's good. So, yeah. Okay.
All
whatever.
Right, cool.
Yeah. Myers, though, DNP, he came back, obviously. I believe he came back into the game. He was for sure on the sideline.
Yeah.
I think he came back in.
So just a little hypothetical here. If Myers doesn't play, Zach Tom moves to center and Nyman goes to right tackle? Or probably left tackle, right, and Rashid goes to right?
Probably, because Rashid has more time at right tackle. That's probably what they do. Which I think's fine. Whatever. Yeah. Like first off, Zach Tom is a better center than Josh Myers is, so that's not an issue. But Nyman is, he's middle of the road. I don't think this week he has Danielle Hunter. That's going to be a big thing. Mm-hmm. Danielle Hunter is going to destroy these tackles probably. Yeah. But run blocking wise, Nyman can certainly hold his own. So, game plan wise, you would think, and again, Matt LaFleur, if you haven't figured this out yet, Packers should come out running a little bit. Let's attack the edges, running the football, maybe some outside zones. But then you should be able to pass against this Viking secondary.
They're not great.
No, there's no excuses. You need to pass against this Viking secondary. These receivers even could beat man coverage with that Viking secondary. Just find where the two safeties are. The two safeties for the Vikings are good. Mm-hmm. Cornerbacks suck. Yep. So, I don't know, man.
Like a lot of crossing routes on Sunday.
Yeah, I would love to see one. Right. That's fine. Anything. Work the middle of the field. Just have a tight end do a little choice route and just sit in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like Tucker Kraft can do that. It's insane. But like obviously feels like sky's falling in Green Bay. But you look at the sports book, 1.5 point underdog. That's nothing. This is certainly a winnable game for the Packers.
Yeah.
No one should be surprised if they win.
Right. Vikings are riding high too after taking down the 49ers.
Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely a situation where you can smack the Vikings in the mouth. They had one less day to prepare, whatever that is worth.
Right.
Obviously Bennett, West. No, they're at home, weren't they, for Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, still,
I think.
Yeah, Vikings aren't any good. But I don't know. I
Well, no,
mean,
I'll finish that, Zach, for you. Vikings aren't any good, and the Packers aren't any good.
true. That's true. And like, you think about who the best players in this game are. I feel like they're all on the Vikings side.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Vikings have the talent, the edge on talent. That game was in
yeah,
Minneapolis last week.
yeah. And I mean, Vikings are very willing to run crossing routes. So hopefully the Packers can pick those up. I feel like Joe Barry hasn't had his best performances against the Vikings overall.
Agreed.
Jair helped them, I believe, the last time essentially we played them by shutting Justin Jefferson down himself.
Yeah,
But in
I don't.
terms of just passing people off, he hasn't been great.
I don't have any like stats on this or anything, but it feels like Kirk Cousins always plays well against the Packers the first game they play each other every year.
Certainly has been that for the past couple times, I can tell
Yeah.
you. Kirk Cousins stats. But yeah, I mean, for whatever it's worth, you could also say it's like Joe Barry didn't cover Justin Jefferson with Jair the first game every year.
Right.
That's essentially what it was. Career game log. Green Bay. Okay. So last year, I mean, first game, 277, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Second game, 205, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So we have it there. Year before that, first game, 341, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Didn't play the second game.
That's right.
Year before that, 259, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Second game, 160, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He got the win, but wasn't incredible. Year before that, 2 terrible games from Kirk, 2 great games the year before that. So mostly the last 3 years. But yeah, I think that's fair. And what has happened? What's changed in the last 3 years? I wonder.
We've lost a lot of good players.
Also, Joe Barry's been here. So, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, coming into this game, Packers, I mean, emphasis needs to be just coming out fast, dude. Like we can't have another first half with no touchdown.
My key to the game is score in the first half. That's a crazy key to the game, but that's a key to the game.
It has to be. I mean, we have to come out and do something, and then we have to keep doing it. We can't just keep going, side to side, working the edges without using the middle of the field, not moving across the line of scrimmage, losing the line of scrimmage battle completely. Like you can run on the edges of this Vikings defense, I think. I think they might struggle running on the interior, but we'll see. But you can run on the edges. So I feel like feed Aaron Jones. I thought Aaron Jones looked pretty good last week. He just didn't see much of the field, and obviously AJ Dillon was playing well. But if we can start working the outside zone with Aaron Jones, I think we could kill this Vikings team, to be honest.
I agree.
At least on offense.
Yeah, and just going to defense too. Like Kirk Cousins to me is a lot like Jared Goff, where if you give him time, he will just absolutely destroy you. Make Kirk Cousins move a little bit. If that means bringing in an extra guy every play, if that means doing stunts inside, just something to get him uncomfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, get pressure on Kirk Cousins and don't give up a big play, especially with Savage out now. Like, don't let Jordan Addison get behind you.
Yep.
And obviously, like we said, Packers defenses have been good at that. Yep. We haven't been giving up the big play, but Packers defense has been playing pretty well. So my expectations are the defense keeps the Packers in the game yet again this week, and we'll see if Jordan Love and the offense makes a play in the first half. Because it feels like if they made one big play in the first half each of the past several games, that probably came away with wins.
Yeah, certainly.
So that's it. If we want to give our actual predictions, my gut's saying the Packers win this game.
I know. I'm with you.
But I mean, your Kirk Cousins thing is true though too. But I'm going to go. My brain is saying not to do this, but I'm going to go Packers win. And I'm going to go 22-17.
Okay. So I have to I'm still waiting for the newspaper. I have to give my picks every week. I did Packers 24-17. Or I did Vikings 24-17, I'm sorry.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
Nicole, I mean, that's a big difference between
You're
this
right.
year
Well,
too. Suddenly, and I'm not saying you're one of these people, but suddenly a lot more people are missing Aaron Rodgers than before.
mhm.
Like, oh, maybe he was a generational talent that we should have treated maybe a little better.
Maybe we shouldn't.
But yeah,
Maybe we shouldn't hate players for not getting COVID vaccines.
weird. It's almost as if it's their choice. Um, so your predictions: Vikings by 7, or
Probably, right? Like, there's nothing in my mind to really say that Green Bay is going to win this game.
that's fair. My brain says not. My brain says Vikings win, obviously,
Yeah.
but and you know what? Vikings were listening to Creed before last game. That's what Harrison Smith said that got them pumped up, which is fucking awesome. Packers need something like that. Find juice somewhere. Find something. It's I don't know. I don't know. There's absolutely no energy around this Packers team. I just feel like we can't keep getting embarrassed.
It's just
Like
been
we do with them.
four straight weeks of embarrassment. The
Yeah.
bye week was embarrassing. They came away with 10 guys on IR after the bye, or on that were injured after the bye.
How? How does that happen?
No.
I don't know what we're doing. I mean, we lost to a Broncos team last week that had to waste timeouts because they didn't have the right people in the game.
Right.
Over and over. It's I don't know. I don't know. I should change my pick, but I'm not. I'll stick with the Packers. I hate the Vikings. I just can't pick them to win. I
Yeah,
can't do it.
I totally understand it.
Well, okay. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. I think my NWA comparison was pretty good. I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention in that like David Bakhtiari is kind of like Easy E, who's just like dead.
I mean, yeah, kind of. It does seem that way.
Yeah,
Is he okay? Can someone check on Bach?
he's gonna be
We've
so
heard
sad.
nothing.
Imagine how much more sad he would be if the Jets were like 6-0 right now, though.
True. That is true. I almost wonder if he's with Rodgers because
Probably.
he's not in Green Bay.
Oh, I haven't seen him.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. Okay. Well, this was Lombardi Sweep. We'll be back next week, obviously, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. We are always live right here. You can also subscribe to Lombardi Sweep on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. And we'll see you next time.